Believe it or not, this one isn't clickbait. Vercel and I are breaking up. They are no longer a channel sponsor. It's been a wild 2 years since I started posting videos. Believe it or not, I did only really start posting in April of 2022, and everything that's happened since then has been unbelievable. With that, we've had a lot of changes. I went from running the channel solo to having a team of 4 helping me out with it. I've went from having nobody watching my videos to millions of people every month. And I've went from not having any idea if this would make money to trying to find different ways to be profitable while at the same time being honest. If I'm being honest with you guys now, it didn't work. I went out of my way to make sure every sponsor that I worked with was a brand and a product that I was actually using and shipping in production. Since I also run a company, it was not too hard to do because we tried and used a lot of different tools and products. But the sad truth is that I was throwing away a ton of money in doing that in hopes of being able to be more honest and build more trust with y'all. And it didn't work. I get more crap than almost any other creator in the space, even though I'm more honest than almost any of them. I haven't until this point taken any sponsors from brands that didn't actually honestly believe in some amount. I had 1 or 2 small video ads, but I quickly axed those deals when I gave the products more honest looks and found them to not be great. All of my main channel sponsors, the things you see in tutorials, the things I bring up regularly, those brands are building things I believe in and I will continue using, including Vercel. But the method of having them sponsor the channel as a way of balancing things out, it hasn't worked. It seems like the contradiction between the things I actually really like using and the fact that they're paying me has caused more ill will than it has resolved. I tried really hard to do things different here and have a program where the brands I liked were my sponsors and the tools I used were my sponsors, because I didn't want to lead you guys down the path of tools I didn't actually trust. But if I need to make ends meet here, and I do, I have a team to pay, I have to change things up. And I think I have to go the more traditional route. I have been arguably too upfront about who sponsors my channel and my content. And I think that's hurt. Vercel's only sponsored like 5 or 6 videos total. But since they're building things that we talk about a lot, I disclose that they have sponsored the channel and that they are paying me to talk about them sometimes. It seems like that disclosure has led to people losing all trust in me. And I am starting to understand why. You guys couldn't see the fact that this is a brand I'd been using the tools of for 4 years. I was using Vercel for over a year before I even tried out Next.js. They're the product that I chose to bet my business on, and I don't regret that bet at all. What I do kind of regret is trying to do things differently with the sponsor program. I thought that having a set of brands I actually knew and trusted would allow me to be more honest with y'all and that y'all would see that. And while many of you have, many haven't. And it's not just hurting me and my community and brand anymore. It's hurting the companies that I work with. There's now this crazy misconception that Vercel has dozens of sponsorships and all of these influencers they're paying to show them constantly. Well, with this change, they've now went from 1 influencer that they sponsored to 0. There are now no creators sponsored by Vercel. And I don't think that's going to change much of anything, but I hope it helps us build a bit more trust. Going forward, things are going to be a bit different. We're going to start introducing ad spots in my videos. It's not a thing I wanted to do. Believe me, I did not want to do it. But if I'm going to keep paying my team and keep things moving and growing the way we intend to, we have to make up for the lost revenue here. I'm also no longer taking exclusivity deals with brands. I've let all the companies sponsoring me know that going forward, they can't pay me to not use their competition. I have 6-month contracts with all of the main brands I've worked with, and that's going to change a bit. But for full transparency, the way the contract worked before was I would use the product, and if I liked it, I would reach out to them. We would have a 6-month contract where I would, in that window, make 2 to 3 videos prominently featuring their product. Usually I would have a tutorial and would include them there as well. Always disclosed, to be very clear, if you were watching content that was paid for, you always knew. And at no point did I let any of these brands control what I was talking about or how I discussed it. I think in my entirety of doing sponsor deals, I've had maybe 2 times that something was asked of me to take out, change, or remove. And they were very small things. That said, one of them annoyed me enough that I just axed the deal with that brand entirely, and I haven't mentioned them in any of my content since. So the T3 Deploy Partner sponsor deal was the 2 to 3 videos in that 6-month window and a guarantee I wouldn't feature competing products in that time. Because of that guarantee, I went out of my way to disclose the fact that I had a financial relationship with the business. And my goal was always transparency, and it seems like that's been held against me. There are so many other creators in and outside of the space that are much more deeply tied and have much deeper financial relationships with the companies and tools that they talk about, and they're nowhere near as forthcoming about it. And I honestly think my biggest failure to some extent has been that transparency, that every time I brought something up that I had any financial tie to whatsoever, you guys knew. And it sucks that's come back to bite me. I'm not going to stop with the transparency though. Going forward, you will still always know when I have a financial relationship with a brand. Doesn't matter what type of relationship it is either. If it's that they're a current sponsor, that I've invested in them, any of those types of things, I go as out of my way as I can to make sure you guys know that. But the harsh reality is that if you have a 401k and you talk about React, you need to disclose that you're an investor in Facebook and Meta. And no one follows these rules to a T. I am one of the better in this regard. And if you catch me screwing up on any of these points, please let me know so I can correct it. My goal has always been to be as honest and forthcoming with you guys. And I thought I had found a hack to let me do that and fund my team at the same time. But the blowback and the effect it's had on me, the brands I work with, and the community sentiment as a whole is enough that I have to change it. And we're going to start doing things the more traditional way. Going forward, you should expect to see more of those 30 to 60 second long ad reads in my videos. I have a couple coming up next week. And while these aren't brands that I'm actively using and can confidently recommend to you guys, I have vetted them and I'm relatively confident in what they're building. Those ads suck, and I never really wanted to do something like that, but I don't really have a choice. It's either that or let go of some of this awesome team and lower the number of great videos that we're putting out. And I have no interest in doing that. I really like the content that we're doing. I really like the team that I've built, and I really like the community that we have here. But I also really like the sponsors that I was working with, and I hate that that has to change, but it's clear it does. So going forward, nobody can pay me for exclusivity for anything on this channel. Just because I'm working with one brand doesn't mean I'm not able to work with or talk about another. I'll still have the set of sponsors that I recommend that I like the most. You'll see those popping up in things like tutorials going forward. And I do have one last Vercel sponsored video that has to come out. It's actually a collab video, believe it or not, between Vercel and one of their competing products, Fly.io. Because in both my head and in theirs, they're not really competing. I'm really excited for that video. We're actually going to build the same app in 5 different stacks and show what it looks like to deploy them. And I can't wait for it. But after that, there will be no more content that is in any way, shape, or form paid for by Vercel on this channel. I might still help them out with stuff like NextConf, but no money will be exchanging hands. And if that changes, I'll be sure to let you guys know as well. You should also expect that companies that compete with them might start popping up in my stuff as well. There's a lot of alternatives to Vercel that are in a really good spot. Like Netlify is killing it right now, and I'm really hyped with what they've built. I've even been shipping stuff on Cloudflare recently too. While I still don't deploy my web apps on it, I use Cloudflare a ton for my APIs. And with Upload Thing, we just moved all of our APIs off of Vercel and onto AWS directly. We have some really fun stuff coming up there too. I still will default to Vercel when I'm deploying things, and I'll let you guys know if that changes. But yeah, this sucks. This is a company that I've genuinely believed in the vision of for over 4 years, but due to these misunderstandings and community pressure, it's time for some change. Today's the day. Going forward, I am no longer sponsored by or affiliated with Vercel. I think you guys are going to be surprised how little that ends up changing. And if you are one of those brands that wants to sneak into that ad program, you might be surprised how cheap those ad spots are. Hit me up at youtube@t3.gg if you're interested, and we can get something to work out. I got nothing else. I hope you guys know my goal has always been to share what works for me and to try and talk about it in ways that are exciting. And it sucks that trying to do sponsorships with those brands and tools I trust has ended up hurting the trust that I was trying to build. But I hope you guys know that I'm trying, that my goal has always been to be as forthcoming as possible with y'all about what I like and who is paying me and what they're paying me for. And going forward, things will be a bit different, but know that I'm still not willing to compromise on any of those things, and there is no company that could tell me what to say, or more importantly, what not to say. Till next time, peace.